Hi everybody, welcome to my channel. Today we're going to paint my lounge. So we've had our wall replastered because there was damp, so I need to repaint that today. So I'm just going to take you through my process of repainting the wall. Just a quick disclaimer guys, this isn't professional advice, this is just me sharing my DIY experiences with you. Okay, let me just take you through the things that I'm going to be using today. I'm going to start just by cleaning the surfaces just to take away any dust. Obviously we need to protect our surfaces, so I've got a drop mat which we're going to tape to the floor in case there's any spillages. We don't want to have to clean those up. We've got our paint brushes for our small areas. We've got our poly filler, there it is over there. So any little blemishes that we find, we're going to fill those in before painting. A pair of gloves is always handy. Some masking tape. That's seen better days. My dog chewed that, but I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to see how much of that I can actually use. Then we've got, you see that, our roller and our rolling board, and then we've got our plaster primer. So we'll start with a plaster primer. Then we're going to check for any blemishes, and we're going to then fill those in with our poly filler. Then we'll prime again, and then we'll start the painting. Oh yes, and I have got my long pole so that I don't have to be climbing up and down ladders. I might have some help, my little helper. So I want to show you something. Obviously we were very concerned when we saw these, but I chatted to the builder and he said that they weren't a problem. So I just want to show you these little spots that are all over the wall. It's basically just what he calls silica, something that they mix into the concrete to make it waterproof. And these little things sweat, and they just make these little brown spots. But they're not a problem, they aren't water damage, so I'm going to just show you that. So the wall is actually full of them. All the walls that I have to paint are full of them, but it's really not a problem. They will be sealed by the paint and obviously by the primer. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to start with my taping up of the windows and of any area that I don't want to get paint on, because we don't want to have to do too much cleaning afterwards. So I'm going to start with that, and then we'll start with the priming. Okay, that took quite a long time, but I'm basically done with all the taping up. Hopefully I haven't left any spots. I'll just show you. Put my mat down. It's actually smaller, slightly smaller than I thought, or maybe the room is just slightly bigger than I thought, but I'll just have to be careful. Okay, so I did cheat a little bit. When you open the primer, obviously there's the layer of water on the top and it's got to be mixed. but I have builders outside and one of them kindly mixed it for me. So now we've got our nice white primer ready to go on the wall. I've got some lovely holes in my plastic already because my little helper here is making trouble. So apparently my roller is too small. The roller is there. It's too small for the stick that they sold me. So I'm going to have to climb the ladder and do this the long way around. So I'm really not getting dressed now and going to Builders for a new roller, so I'm just going to carry on. Okay, so first coat of primer is done. It looks a mess. I don't know if it's going to get any better. So at this point I'm supposed to look for blemishes and then fix them. But yeah, the whole thing looks like a blemish to me. So we'll see. Okay, so I've put some of the polyfiller on. Just little blemishes, I suppose. I thought it was going to be holes. But he mentioned that there were little cracks just from like movement of the plaster and stuff, so I've put a layer over that and then just like little spots, and then you sand it once it's dry. So we'll see how these little spots turn out, and yeah, once it's dry and sanded, then I'll give it a second coat of primer. And yeah, then we'll just see if it looks okay and if it's ready for a coat of paint. So I'm just opening the paint so long. The polyfill is going to take a couple of hours to dry and I don't want to waste time, so I'm going to start mixing the paint and maybe like just start some edgings and things of what doesn't need primer, which is like the walls that have already got paint on them and are just being repainted. So yeah, I'm going to start stirring and mixing up this paint, and then we'll get painting. So obviously I can't lug this huge, I think it's what, is it 20 liters or something, around with me. So I'm going to decant some into a smaller little tin and then just use that to start off my little areas. So I'm just using this old tin, put some paint in there, and yeah, now we'll just go start our little edgings and things. I've been calling this stuff polyfiller, but it's actually skimming compound and it's still wet. It's probably been, I don't know, maybe about 2 hours. It says it takes 3 to 4 hours to dry, and then I need to sand it, but it's still way too wet. I actually like touched it and it left like a little mark, so I need to like really, I probably will only be able to sand it tomorrow. I have tried to, in the meantime, just go around the edges of plugs and things. You can't really see it. I think the white, because it's only a first coat, it's actually still quite close to this yellowy color that was on the walls. So obviously it's going to require a second coat, but it's also, I've only gone around plugs and things. So it's definitely going to require another coat. I mean, it might even need a third coat because it really is quite it's quite runny, I suppose, and it just kind of looks very washed out when you paint on it. But anyway, we'll see. So this is pretty much the end of day one. I wasn't able to get the sanding done. It's still too wet, and we're load shedding now, so I won't have electricity for the next 4 hours. I did some painting. It's a bit dark there. Can't really see. It still looks quite yellow. It's going to need, I don't know, I think more than 2 coats. Yeah, obviously I still have to do the second plaster thing. And you see that's still very yellow and it's pretty patchy, but it's going to require a few coats of paint. There it looks a bit white. Also lighting is a big thing. So yeah, everything's got at least 1 coat of something. And that's the end of today. We'll carry on again tomorrow. Right, good morning. It is day 2 and I'm now checking to see if the skimming stuff has dried so that I can start sanding. Yeah, it looks good. I'll start the sanding process. Hopefully it's going to go quickly so I can get this paint job done. My husband's kind of saying, why aren't you finished? So I just ran to Builders quickly to get a new roller because, you know, the roller wasn't fitting onto my stick yesterday. So I don't know if it was just an abnormal sized roller, but I took a chance to buy a new roller. And yeah, I did a quick check and it actually seems to fit the stick. So hopefully we'll be able to go quicker today with the roller, so we're not going to be up and down the ladder every 2 minutes. We'll obviously have to do ladder work to get to the roof, but it won't be like up and down, up and down. So yeah, let's get on with that sanding. Okay, I've never done this before, so let's just see how it goes. I mean, you know, DIY. Sand is doing something funny. I hope I didn't break it because it's the Builders. It doesn't belong to me. I just have to check on it. Okay, so apparently it's not broken. It's just, I think when it gets to a certain heat, maybe it just starts jumping. But he said I must just press harder when it starts jumping. So I'm going to get back to it. And he showed that I wasn't doing my edges right. So I have a bit of it heat cheated and helped me out a little bit. But I'm just going to go do the rest of it now. I think that's done. So this fits a lot better than yesterday's one. It was definitely different. So yeah, I'm going to start now with using this to do the primer. Oh, already so much better than yesterday. So I'm done with the primer and I'm just going to let it dry for a few minutes and then I'll start the actual painting. I mean, it's not great, but it's a lot better than it was. I think I was just not being generous enough with my paint. And also I was like not painting in like proper long strokes, you know, I'm like a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit there, and it was like so patchy. Normally things, I suppose they normally dry quite evenly, but I do think that I was not using enough paint. So yeah, priming done and I'm going to start with the painting now. Okay, so it's coming together. I don't think you can really see it. So I gave that wall its first coat of normal paint. Try and focus on that. The builder actually said to me the other day, your house is very thirsty. And I can see what he means. I mean, this wall is just soaking up the paint and it's just, looks like it needs another and another and another. This is looking white at least, but it definitely needs another coat. But it's looking way better. I mean, at least it's looking white and not that painted over yellow. So yeah, I think we're getting there. I really was starting to regret having taken on this project. But yeah, I think we're getting there. So I wanted to mention the paint. I don't think I mentioned it earlier on. You can see what a mess I've made. I mean, I'm obviously no professional. And I've made one heck of a mess. And this isn't even like really zooming. I mean, this is just taking a glance. But the paint is a water base. It's not that sort of oily paint that you have to use terps to get it off of your hands or off of, you know, your surfaces or whatever. So even though I've made a heck of a mess, obviously I've got the plastic down. Once I've got the plastic up, I'm going to see that there's still a big mess on the floor. But it'll be super easy to clean because it's water-based. So I can just take a cloth and just give it a firm rub down and it'll actually clean easy. Okay, that wall is looking much better, but it really still does need one more coat. It's really just absorbing the paint like crazy. I suppose it's not really absorbing it, it's just not covering the grey from the concrete, even though it's got 2 coats of the primer and probably 2 to 3 coats of normal paint. So while I was waiting for that to dry to give it a second coat, I quickly did my pillars. They were yellow, and I've just done them a grey. So that was like quick and easy. I'm not sure if I'll need a second coat. I'll have to just see when I'm done. But yeah, I think that the other white doesn't need a second coat. I think we're fine with that. But this wall that was concrete definitely needs another coat. So I'll get onto that now quickly. Guys, please do like this video. It really does help with the numbers. And please consider subscribing to my channel. And thanks for watching.